Welcome to the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Together we explore the vast landscapes of life, delving into the rich soil of experiences, sowing the seeds of curiosity, and harvesting the profound wisdom that each episode unfolds.
In all my vineyards today, I have two of these younger, younger choices. These are old rootstocks, but they have almost not been used in the past here in Burgundy. But now we start to use them to see how they behave with extreme weather.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is Riparia, 3309, in Chablis 41B. These are the main ones, really. And then recently we added 5C, we added 420A, 16149 was I didn't name it, that was a historical one. That was
Wonderful.
the best rootstock for this whole area.
Wow.
Really. It aged very well, etc. Unfortunately, some 20 years ago, we all discovered throughout France that some vines were dying because of an unknown reason.
Well,
And
biology will
have,
eventually get, right? Biology is
They-
constantly changing.
I don't know, this only rootstock has a problem, and it's a shame because that was the best qualitative rootstock that we had with Riparia, but Riparia was selected for very specific areas that had very little limestone in it. Because of chlorosis. And so this collection of rootstock that I made is not huge. It's a handful of them.
Right.
But I have added two others, and in the region, means have been put in common to test everywhere where the grower wants to help with the experiments. We test many different rootstock that have been selected as potentially useful rootstock for the future of Burgundy.
And
Which hopefully will make it possible to keep planting Pinot Noir and Chardonnay.
right. Do you use rootstocks or any varieties from outside the country, Spain or South America?
They are all grown in France.
They're all here already.
Yeah.
They were already.
Yes.
They
Used somewhere in
came
Europe.
here and then they went back to wherever.
Well, they came here from US.
Right.
Then there were crosses made.
Right.
And it's those that we plant today.
Yeah, you got it. So the idea of we just had COVID pandemic, right? And although it could have been a lot worse, which I thought it was going to be like the Spanish flu, I thought it was going to be a major problem. It did demonstrate that we're not in control of nature, right? That's no matter how we think we are, we're not. So you go back to like a phylloxera, I can never pronounce that right, but phylloxera. What would be, could you even imagine bearing the cost if the entire vineyard was wiped out and you had to start from scratch? Is it even possible in today's world?
Well, no. It depends how fast it would destroy everything. Of course.
Yeah, if you had time to change
to
it
replace,
and test, because you don't know what you're
but
replacing
it
with.
would do a lot of damage.
Right.
Really. So
Have we
some vineyards would, some farms would disappear because financially it's too difficult.
Oh yeah, I'm sure of that.
And you have to assume that it's the equivalent of a COVID with an immediate solution to not die again.
Right.
And if the disease that kills also what you replant, then it's a dead end.
Right.
So assuming that
You have a replacement.
everything dies, but you know what to plant to replace it to grow again without problems, then even then, if it happened within, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years,
Not enough time.
for many farms that don't have the luxury appellations like the
Right.
Grand Cru, the first growth, the famous first growth, it would be financially very hard.
When you plant a vine, what do you generally have to wait a good 5 years before you can take the grapes off of it?
By law, we are allowed in the third year.
Third
So
year.
if I planted in 26, 27, 28 would be the first year where I have the right to
And would
harvest.
you harvest that on a brand new plot or just as in your replacement? And how do you track your replacements?
The replacement
Doesn't matter. If there's a grape, you do it.
Even though even if you wanted to harvest after 3 years, you can't because that hasn't grown enough.
Ah, they grow
when
slower.
When you plant a vine with so much competition, it's 10,000 vines per hectare here.
Yeah.
So that's
crazy amount.
really a lot. And so there is a big competition. Plus, in organic, as you can see, I still have some grass that adds to the competition of the vines themselves.
Right.
So the replacement vines have a hard time growing. It's usually at the 6th, maybe 7th year that you can expect some crop to happen.
Got it.
In a very young vineyard where all the vines are young, then it's normally the 3rd year if they grow very nicely. But even then, if you harvest after 3 years, to preserve the future of the vines,
better off waiting a little bit.
You don't produce much.
Right.
And even the 4th year, you don't produce much. You pay attention not overloading.
Maybe getting 6 clusters per vine or something. Not that much. Well, you got smaller vines.
No, 6. That's 6. That's when it's adult.
Okay.
It would be 1, 2, 3.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. So that gives people a pretty good idea. If each vine has 1 or 2 or 3 clusters, how much work has to go in to produce a bottle of wine?
Well, at the beginning, the young vineyard, obviously, you need a lot of vines to produce a bottle.
Right, yes. Right.
But then, once since it's in full production, the yields it's the equivalent here of 3 tons per acre, the US equivalent.
Okay.
Some appellations, lower appellations, can go higher than that, like 3.5, and it's allowed a little more in whites than it is in reds. So it's still a fair amount of crop.
Now, one of the things I am always amazed at is a brand, your brand, or I won't even mention other brands, but more or less the consistency or that taste, even though you've got to go through good years and bad years and you've got mistakes and you got all kinds of things. For the most part, when you're opening up a quality bottle of wine, you pretty much know that you're going. How do you do that? I mean, that's like an art form right there. You have.
I'm not trying to understand the question.
Okay. Every single time you're growing a particular year of grapes, your wine. If I'm buying wine from you, even though each year is a little bit different, I know the quality of the overall flavor, the taste of your wine. I can distinctively tell it Petrus from another wine or whatever wine it is. How do you keep that? Just by following your practices, or is it all part of the way the vintner's doing his thing? How long he lets it sit, the maturation. What do you do to get that kind of consistency?
That's where a family business helps, because during all the period of time where my generation has tried to learn about how to make wine, what kind of wine to make, how to manage the vineyards, my father has been here to tell about what he knows already from his experience about the potential and style of each of the terroirs in the côte.
Okay.
At least the one he's been dealing with. By dealing, I mean either we own the land and we produce wine on it, or we buy wine
from that area.
Wine historically from that area, and he knows the terroir.
Wow.
The terroir is something that is essential. We know if you don't damage it with your practices in the vineyards, there is a potential for certain characteristics that will show up in the wine. Now, the whole purpose of the vinification is not to tweak that to your liking. It's to try and stick to what you've learned is the best or most interesting or most true to type of style that you have either discovered at some point or your father has described and maybe has had a chance to have you taste, so that you know what the reference becomes. And so you know what your soil is capable of at some point if you do everything right. And by everything right. It might be that the best wine he made out of that vineyard was because the vineyard was very old and didn't produce much and had a lot of concentration. And it was maybe a vine from 1961 where there was
Hard to
almost-
replicate that then.
Well, that's the style reference.
I see.
You will not try to make a pommard to resemble Chambol Musigny.
Right.
You can try with modern techniques, particularly not in the vineyards, but particularly in the at vinification and élevage stages. You can try to tweak. Bonjour. You can try to tweak your wine so that it resembles Chambol because you like Chambol better.
Uh-huh.
But I think this is a mistake. One, you won't achieve that. Two,
Right.
two, you will destroy
Your brand.
the true terroir of where your grapes came from.
Mhm.
So somebody who would be new and has no experience of what a good pommard or a good Clos des Mouches or a good Chambol Musigny can be or should be, because that's true to a terroir, and true to a terroir. Side note: if you take 15 people from the Chambol area, old people,
Uh-huh.
good tasters, and you have them taste blind wines from Chambol and from Moret-Saint-Denis, they should all be able to say, okay, this is Chambol,
This
this
is
is
from us.
Chambol, this is Chambol, this is Chambol, this is not Chambol.
Uh,
If they can do that on your wines, then your wines are true to the terroir. And there is a terroir. There can be variations, there can be tweaks. Here, everyone has its own preference. So there will be slight variations. But if you have an area that's naturally producing tannic wines, of course, with collage, with fining, you can, and other techniques, you can remove those tannins, decrease the amount of the tannins, and have your wine softer and maybe more pleasant to the palate. But don't
You
call it
lose your-
pommard then.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
not a real pommard.
yeah.
So
I see.
it can be interesting and appealing to people, but we sell terroir. We don't sell a Pinot Noir wine, we sell a terroir wine.
So that really is the brand. It's that Terroir.
Well, by brand, if you mean Domaine Drouhin, if that is the brand, that is the grower who might be known for having a certain style.
I see.
But then there is also what each terroir should bring, so that somebody who tastes it blind will say, this is most likely coming, this is most
From this
likely this
region.
appellation.
Right, right.
And
Which
I
is
took Chambol as a good example because Chambol is really
distinctive.
smooth tannins, it's very fine wines, like the Clos des Mouches red here within the Beaune village. If you handle me a glass of red Clos des Mouches and you
You
tell
can
me
tell.
it's a wine, it's a red wine from the Beaune village, there are lots of wines in the Beaune commune,
Uh-huh.
I should be able to pick it up because I will determine the nature of the tannins, the amount of finesse it has, etc., etc. So there is the terroir expression, there is the style, unavoidably there is a style linked to the grower itself. And the grower, it doesn't have just one appellation, it has many appellations. So it's the combination of the two all the time. But in the end, whoever made the wine should be able, blind, to recognize that it's coming from this wine.
That person.
Now,
That,
it's less easy, and the differences are sometimes subtle, that it's becoming very difficult to make to
That
find this difference
consistency.
and find it. And I would be wrong by tasting blind, and my father would be wrong in tasting blind, even our own wine. So it's a difficult exercise, but that's
Right.
at least that's the goal we should aim at.
right.
And I remember when he was teaching us, when we were tasting one in Élevage. Élevage is, do you understand Élevage in English? Well, once you have produced the wine, it's in barrel until you
Yes.
bottle it.
Yeah.
And during that time, you regularly taste it. It goes through malolactic fermentation, and then you can
Right.
age it for so long that you can find or not find. You can filter or not filter. You can do many things on it for reds and for whites. And so when we were tasting those wines who were not bottled yet, when we have different cuvées, he would taste them, and if we felt, oh, this is great, this is very good, no, you're wrong. You find it good, but it's not what it should be. And at some point he would he stuck with explanation, and the next dinner he would fetch a bottle of the of an old wine that he knew showed
Had it
extremely clearly those characteristics he wanted to describe to us, so that we print there. Okay, this is what
perfect. You had this last night. Now you're having this.
This is what you should call a great morceau.
Okay.
Not what you tasted three days ago.
Okay.
And then we would try to think, okay, yeah, well, it lacks this, it lacks that, it has that it shouldn't have, etc., etc.
Right. Now, okay, so you started, obviously, it's his family.
Yeah.
Was there a point in time where you said, no, I want to be an artist? Or I want to dance? I want to live in Portugal? Or
No.
No, you always just had it in your blood.
Well,
and you enjoyed it.
Is that a bad job?
Oh, I'd say this is about what pretty much everyone wants to do. Or
Exactly.
would like to do.
Well, you don't sleep well often,
Well,
particularly in organic farming.
yeah.
But it's never the same. Every year is different. You have ideas, you put them in place. Yeah. 10 years later,
there's a lot of risk.
Start to see results or not, or disappointing. It's the only frustration in this job is that it's like a super tanker. You say, okay, I'm going to turn left. Well, you turn left. Keep turning left. Not much happens. At some point, it turns left. But
hopefully you don't overcorrect
you're at the end of your life, but it does.
I see.
See, so you really have to. It's a very in a year. How many chances to do a trial do you have? As many as there are. It's one per year.
Right.
In a given place.
Yeah, there's a book out there by Howard Buffett, Warren Buffett's son, called 40 Chances. He figured a farmer has 40 years, and each year you have one chance to get it right or wrong. And the idea is pretty cool, because you could make the best wine ever in that year, but a lot of that's out of your control too. But still, you could also go on vacation for a month and come back and find out things aren't going so well.
Yeah, I don't go on vacation when it's growing.
No,
I go really on vacation
in the mud months.
The game is over.
Yeah. So, okay. Next generation. Do you, your brothers, sisters, do you have children also that?
I don't personally. My sister has. My three other brothers and sisters do have. Yes. Mm-hmm. Some of them. There might be one or two. That might be. One is actually working in the vineyards. Mm-hmm. Veronique's daughter has worked for us a couple of years, and she has done something else temporarily. Hopefully she will come back working.
Right. Sometimes that's the best.
We don't know. Yeah. And she has another daughter that is very interested in everything that's natural, in growing plants, etc. So she could become interested in the vine, but they are young. All of them.
Yeah. Well, that's the
see.
idea.
They like wine.
What's that? They like wine. That's a good. That's the best start.
Point. Yes.
Yeah.
If you don't like wine, that's.
So, how important is it for you and your family to help teach this next generation of people who are every generation we're getting further and further from the land. We're getting further and further from life, from plant life, from microbial life underground, because everybody wants to be a social influencer or what a programmer or something. They want to work with AI. And part of it is that we made farming easier when we used industrial methods, right? But the problem is we're seeing the damage now. So do you guys participate in any of the university level or even younger children? Do you have tours, or do you do any of that?
Well, with the exception of two of them, they all live here.
Mm-hmm.
They live in Beaune, or next to Beaune, so they are part of they are very much influenced by everything that's happening either in the winery or in the vineyards.
Okay.
Because they are local, except two of them who live in the United States, because my brother lives in the United States.
Okay.
And so those two are not in the wine business at all. But the others, so they are influenced already, and every time we have a chance to meet and share a good bottle of wine, there is obviously at some point my father who's going to say, "Oh, this one," because we never even drunk, we never drink young wines on these occasions. I always drink.
Oh, you
older
get the
wines.
good wine.
Yeah.
Must be nice to go to your house
I
for
was born in
dinner.
61, and I was the first one, which was a great vintage. If Veronique, my sister, was here, she would say 62 was better. But
I'm 60. I don't know if I've ever had a 60. Yeah.
not as great as 61.
Okay.
So anyway, he put aside quite a number of bottles, so we still have the chance to taste this exceptional vintage, 1961, and he has a lot of bottles he can still share that we share with the young generation. So on these occasions, we would not just serve drink without any word on the wine. He would tell about what happened in that year.
Yeah,
what
that's the
problems
best.
he had,
The story. Yeah.
what he did that was right, what he did that was wrong, what was exceptional, what was not, what area had problems. So that's a chance every time we do
Storytelling.
that quite often
Yeah.
that they can learn.
So, what are you seeing from a standpoint of? Here's another question. It seems like this newest generation, Y or the Z, whatever they call themselves now, they're not drinking as much. Have you seen any kind of diminished demand,
Yes,
especially from a younger generation?
Yes, it's well, two things. One, overall wine consumption is decreasing. People drink less, but better.
Yeah.
Which I would say is good for Burgundy.
Yeah, you've got the best.
Because we are in the expensive wines. I have the weakness to think that we tend to produce among the best wines in the world.
Sure.
We in Burgundy, we Drouhin.
Right.
And so I'm confident that Burgundy is so small, the number of potential consumers is so huge.
You'll always
to taste good wine that if we do things right, we will always find consumers.
Yes.
As for the young generation, if you had asked me this question 6 years ago,
You would have said
I
no
would
way.
have told you beer is hot. Now today, beer is no longer hot.
Right.
What happened? I think the young generation wants to try some things different that they like or don't like.
Right.
If an influencer says, forget about beer, you should drink that, probably will move a big portion of all of them to something else that's new, that's famous for a couple of years, etc.
Right.
And I would think that there are not so many beverages. Once they
They'll cycle back to one that.
somebody will have them for dinner or lunch with a good glass of wine that pairs nicely with food, and they will say, wow, forgot that this existed.
When I was in high school, somehow I had a Jesuit priest teaching a French class, no less. And that's kind of when I don't know if this is even true, but he had told me that alcohol is for pairing with food, period. It's not there to get drunk and get stoned. And, everyone has done that, of course, and it seems fun until the next day. But that's kind of how I approach, any kind of alcohol consumption. If I'm going to have a nice meal, and I'll drink a beer once in a while, but that's with a piece of pizza or chicken wings or something. Not if I'm going to have a nice meal, it's going to be with a bottle of wine and a cocktail maybe before dinner to open things up. But to me, it's always been that combination. And I think what you're alluding to is that at some point, as people are drinking, they will come back to the understanding that nothing pairs better than wine for food, as far as I'm concerned. Right?
Now, I don't know anything about alcohol-free wines.
That's a new trend too.
It should not be called wine.
Right, grape juice.
It's something else, but it's not the alcoholic. We say it in English.
Yeah, non-alcoholic wines. And they have vegan wines, and I thought that was a joke, but I guess that has to do with when you're clarifying the wine. In the old days, you clarified with egg white.
Yes,
so
what you're using to clarify.
And I don't know if you clarify with anything like a zeolite is another way to clarify with a mineral. But it allows you to label it vegan, although I don't know how much demand there is.
I pay attention to that because part of our consumers ask, is it vegan?
Right.
We pay attention to that, of course. But frankly, and I don't know where the vegan limit is. We use cow manure to do compost.
Yeah, good, but that's an input into your soil, and all soil has inputs in them, no matter what, right? But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Some people are just they might want a compost that's only trees and grasses, I guess. Although I don't know how that affects what they're putting in their body and the juice, but
I don't know. It's using animal for own purposes. Maybe that's not in the vegan approach. I don't know enough about
yeah, I guess it depends on why you're a vegan.
There is wine without alcohol, and those wines, I have never tasted them. And I hear that it's consumption of these wines, the market for these wines, or this beverage, is increasing.
I don't think
how big is it? What future does it have? I have no idea. I think there will be a part of the consumer that rejects alcohol that will stick to that.
Right.
But I think people who don't reject alcohol will favor the true wine.
Right. Maybe just drink less of it.
Yeah, that's a general trend anyway. I think
but I wonder
less and better.
I wonder if you'd never age a non-alcoholic wine, would you? I mean,
I don't know enough about non-alcoholic wines, frankly. So I don't know. I would just does it have sulfur, for example? I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I know there is protection from the alcohol for the wine aging. You don't have that in non-alcoholic beverages. So how will it age? How long?
Right.
Will it change characteristics?
Yeah, it may be less healthy for you, right? And you never know what it's about. Do you find yourself just drinking your own stuff, or do you drink wine from everywhere? Do you drink different varieties?
I drink wine from everywhere.
You do?
I don't like all the wines made on earth.
No, of course.
Preferences, but yes, I have no problem drinking wine from everywhere.
Yeah, I think it just makes you appreciate everything a little bit better, don't you?
Well, when I
and your meal.
Taste other things and come back to Burgundy, I tend to think this is the thing.
I can't blame you. Well, I appreciate your time. Anything else that you're doing? Any special projects that you've got that you're looking at?
Current means it has
last 20 years.
No, 15 years maybe.
Okay, that's pretty current in my mind.
That's the last thing that I'm heavily implementing is this. You can see that this row is different than from those two.
So you're experimenting.
And we have, as you can see over there, we have tractors that run over two rows.
Right.
Whereas many older tractors, they would just go over one row.
Okay.
By going over one row, they would run every row.
And you'd have compaction.
And you have compaction.
Okay.
And the compaction of tractors in the late 60s is not the same as with modern tractors.
They're so
they
big
have
now.
become very big, very powerful, etc. You still find lots of small, older tractors, but harder and harder to maintain and dangerous. If you drive yourself as a grower on it, that's fine. But if you have an employee go on it and it bends over and you kill him, it's another story.
That's a whole different
So I
game.
decided to get rid of the one-row tractors for safety reasons. And I said, why not try to never run anymore every other row, because we have a chance to have the tractors that go over two rows. So they would run here, you would come back here.
And then the following year, you'd...
No, I don't change.
You'd keep just this row.
This is sacrificed.
Okay.
Sacrificed like it was before I did that.
2 out of 3.
The rows on which you run are sacrificed anyway, because there is always one time in the season where the soil is too wet for you to run on them, and you will do damage, but you have no choice, and you do that. Every grower faces that. So rather than fight and take risks with a crop by not going in the vineyard just because the soil is too wet to not do damage. I decided to go this way. We don't run when it's not necessary, but when we have to go, this one will never see any tractor wheel.
Ever.
Never. And it's particularly interesting for all the vines that I replanted and where I have been doing this since then. My idea with that is that one, it's not something normal to have compacted soils. Air and water exchanges in soils are essential for it to work.
Right.
You can be organic and biodynamic if your soils are compact as a sponge, like a sponge you took like this. How can it function well?
So this is almost acting as your sponge in between.
This is not going to function as well. But my hope is that not only will it function much better, but also will have more water retention capacity,
right,
which will be more and more useful. And this is really something that you can make living normally as a soil that works normally, that functions normally.
I don't know about you, but I always love to experiment with stuff. But I'd be curious to see if you picked like a row like this and you tried to make an extract. So with the extract, you can design it to be more fungal based or more bacteria based on your compost mix. It doesn't always have to be. I use dairy product because I think it's some of the best, but there's a lot of pure people who don't want to use animals. And there's fermenting, the Korean natural farming that they do and that kind of thing. But I'd be kind of curious to see if you took like these three here, just actually drench this and maybe another one on another property or one over here, and see if you see a difference in your soil analysis. So with you here, you've been in this area for over 100 years, your family.
Yep.
It's hard, everybody's competitive, but it's kind of hard to be competitive when these are the same people you meet and you talk to. I'm sure you're in associations with them and that kind of thing. Do you guys share? Obviously, you're sharing some ideas, whether they're plant hybrids or whatever you want to call them, clones or whatever.
Oh yes, we share a lot. Maybe more now than we did in the past.
Right. Because the enemy is no longer the competition.
No. We face all one major enemy, which is global warming.
Right.
So
right.
That is plus some diseases that are common to the whole area, diseases that are a threat to the whole area, even though they are not here. Like Pierce's disease, for example. That's something we are running in the books, but it could happen one day. So
of course.
There is all the growers share ideas, they share experiments. The agricultural department has young people running them. They are very good. They are open to ideas, even crazy ideas. They listen, they discuss, they do experiments that they share with everyone. There's a lot
cooperation
of
level,
emulation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of exchange, and obviously internet makes it faster and easier
sure.
than it was before. You don't have to necessarily meet physically, so you can do more in less time.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's something that's happening.
That's the exciting part.
Yeah.
There's enough scary part. That's the exciting part. Well, thank you very much for taking this time out of your day. I appreciate it. And one last question. If you know everybody in the area, you know a hell of a lot more than I know, or that the average person knows. So if you're looking to get yourself a collection, or do you trade your product with some of your friends across the board, or you just go to a store and buy it, or they're private libraries, or how do you do it?
Well, there are occasions where everyone brings a bottle of his estate, so that's a chance to share. There are times where we would ask, I would be interested to taste your wine. We give him wine, he gives us wine. So it works out.
Yeah. So, well, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining the Harvesting Wisdom podcast. Click subscribe and like for ongoing insightful conversations. Explore our webpage for show notes and additional resources. Visit our guests' webpage for deeper insights. Your engagement is the foundation of our journey, and until next time, keep pursuing wisdom.